So today we're going to be checking out something very special to me, something I haven't actually looked through in a long time. It's this giant blue binder here. I guess you could call it a sketchbook, but truly it's more than that. This is 7 years of my life. This is age 11 through 18, so right up until I graduated high school. This is where it all started, essentially. I've been drawing since I was 4, but when I was 11, that was really a pivotal time for me. Something that stands out in my mind as, kind of a turning point or just one of those dots on the timeline of your life, as far as times that mattered, times that changed you, times that you changed. I haven't looked through this thing in maybe 10 years, and so I'm not really sure what's in here, so apologies in advance, but as cringy as some of it may be, I think it's important to be able to look back, not just to see, where you started and maybe find some fun similarities in the way you draw now versus the way you might have drawn then.
I was kind of soaked into some anime, a lot of anime, except it was really like American anime, like Digimon and things like that. And so you'll see a lot of that in the artwork in here. And I think once people started pointing that out and I started seeing that in my own stuff, I just shut the faucet off and I didn't look at it all that much anymore, because I didn't want to just be stylized in that way. I wanted to kind of come to my own style just naturally. I think your style finds you. I think it happens the same way a handwriting happens. You don't necessarily set out of your way to have a specific type of handwriting. I mean, maybe some people do, but typically it's just like, yes, that looks good, or no, that looks like dog shit.
Also to see how you've grown. I'm glad I kept all this art. And I'm glad we have it now today to get this chance to revisit it publicly and lay it all out on the line, show you a little bit more deeper into my psyche and behind the curtain of a teenage emo artist, a sensitive new age illustrator. All right, well, without further ado, let's just take a look, shall we?
We're gonna look at this art. No, I'm glad that this all exists. I'm glad that I kept it. I remember actually when I started keeping all this artwork. This is a massive binder full. It was actually my dad who suggested just keeping everything. And so I did. And now, I still like to put the art up on the walls as I go. It's a great reminder that you are actually getting things done. And it's also a great reminder when you look way back and see how far you've come, and that you are improving. And so this one should really show me how far I've come. All right, let's get into it. So I've broken this guy up into chapters. Oh, look at that 2001 signature. I forgot to comment on that. Same signature I have today, but this one took a lot longer. Now it's a little bit more streamlined. I still write the date. You can see the similarities, I'm sure. Here we go. Category or chapter number 1, untitled. You see a cabin here, some trees. I still love drawing trees and roots and stuff. Ooh, we got some original characters. This was a project. I remember it was going to be very fantasy, kind of Dungeons and Dragons. It very much inspired by my favorite artist of the time and still one of the all-time greats, Joe Mad, in his book Battle Chasers. So this is Smythe and Bludgeon. And guess what he does? Bludgeons you. I think I just learned that word. Croto, that was one of my high school teachers, one of the greats, one of the ones that really still sticks with me now. He didn't look like that, but he was super chill. I remember he would meditate. He was into yoga, meditation, and chai tea, and we would meditate in his class, but I should look him up. This is Chrono's house. Maybe that's where he's at. This guy's name is Riley, spelled pretty funky. There he is again. Bludgeon. I used to love drawing dragons. So these are 2000 and 2001. So that was like my freshman year of high school. This is cool. Lives inside of a swamp tree. Door, chimney. 2002. I pretty much still draw that every day. Oh, here we go. A lot of this is very emo. Uh-oh. Speaking of, these are real people. These are my friends. I don't know what's in here. So some of these I was very young and stupid. Now I'm just stupid. Okay, friends. I'm not going to talk too much about these people. But if it's you, you know who you are. And these are some of my buddies. We used to do pretty much Jackass, but we called ourselves Random. And I would draw everybody. There's Random right there. Check that out. That's me and my friend Nick. He's from Canada. Some girl. Uh-oh. That's her name. Uh-oh. We're going. It's high school, guys. Lip sync. That's me and my buddy Pat. We used to do lip sync videos. Bye, bye, bye. You know what I mean, in front of the camera. So I've always been making videos, embarrassing, cringy videos. Let's move on. This is literally hanging by a moment. That was my girlfriend and I's song. So literal. Ah, what's this? I don't know what this is. That's me being a hunk. Ah, there she is again. This was a movie I started to write. I was obsessed with Scream. You're going to see a lot of murders and deaths in this book, which is so appropriate now that I've been able to draw the deaths of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's kind of always my future, I suppose. But yeah, I was kind of obsessed with that. You never saw it coming. They never saw me turning into a serial axe murderer. Should have seen it. There's about to be some blood in here. Two other ladies, friends, girls. All right, we're just putting everyone on blast at this point. Welcome to the Friends section. There's my band. Yes, I was in a band. Model 15. You can look it up, don't find anything. Some figure drawing, maybe? Apparently that's the only one that's bad. We see how we grow. All right, this is Splash. Splash is super cool. It was my first comic when I was 11 years old. And then I continued to work on it throughout the years. And this character here, Switchblade, has made appearances in quite a few different places throughout my life. Maybe most notably in Savage Dragon, issue 233, where he fights an awesome, evil, bearded Savage Dragon, a bearded dragon. Anyway, go check it out. I don't know who that is. 1999. This is Splash 2. It's the sequel. Okay? We've got Tuck, we've got Ghost, we've got Switchblade, Evan Roven, Fireball, Shifter, JAEJ, Maxel, like a battery, Jess, Translucent, and Iris. All right. Translucent. Iris and Jay love each other. And turn on a little bit more light. Mess this whole thing up. Ooh, that's nice. Maxel, his power was cool. It was like this green kind of gel that would grab stuff and could pull apart wood. This one was colored by my buddy Mike Caps for a while. Mike was trying to color my stuff, and we were gonna make it in the industry together. 2000. So that was before high school. This might have been like 7th or 8th grade. I don't know. Robot arms. That's an old one I wrote on it. This is the new one. So, I don't know. You be the judge. Old or new. These are some notes. I'm thinking of using this character in the aggregate book too. Just don't look too closely at any of that. But I realized that a lot of this, like, do anything with your hands power has kind of been a theme throughout my work and every superhero book ever. So I'm leaning on that. Anyway, speaking of doing anything with your hands, there he is, Switchblade. I don't know why it says AKA Switchblade. There's nothing before that, but Switchblade is dope. His hands can turn into anything, much like a Swiss Army knife, which is not his name. Shifter can also turn into anything and look like anything, so it kind of makes Switchblade a little shittier. Right. Mog, we'll talk about that. Apparently it stands for Machine of Greco. Don't know what was going on there. But I made him look like Ryan Phillippe from that movie where he bangs his sister. Cruel Intentions. Fireball. See, you can see my anime influences. Call them what you will, but I was a little deep in the wrong direction. I was trying to learn my ropes and learn real anatomy and real faces as much as I could, and just knew that, the way that I rendered that out, if the parts and pieces and proportions were there, at least the knowledge of them, then my style would kind of form out of that. Like, your style can be one thing if you're using a pencil versus if you're using a brush versus if you're using clay. So it would be a number of things that would dictate what ultimately my end style would look like, but I didn't want the foundations of it to be off of something that was already so stylized, if that makes any sense. Anyway, we continue. That guy's pretty skinny. Inferno. H2O, and just a note, she's not naked, she's water. I was trying this signature for a while, I guess, where it was just the BB. The other one took too long. Mr. Mango, he had a different name. It looks like it said Dust. And then I think my older brother suggested we just call him Mr. Mango, so you just know how crazy he is. So we did that. Number 4, Infinity. She's got like some love powers. Serena, she's got her bottom boobs out. Scar, he's got a scar. Bolt, Prick. Prick also used to be called Thorn. Then I think my older brother reminded me that Prick has double meanings, so it's funny. Credit where credit's due. There's someone's phone number if you want to try it. Fireball just completely toasting some dude. Translucent. Iris versus Prick. This was like kind of I think I was thinking about the Capcom versus Marvel stuff. I always loved that, like, side scroller composition. Thought it was cool. And then Iris versus Prick. He changed his mind. Look, first they are fighting, and now he loves her. All right, next section, Secret Agent Tim. Whew. I love Secret Agent Tim. He's one of my my best characters, honestly. We go way back. I don't know what's happening in this hot tub, but this was later. I'll show you where Secret Agent Tim started. I also have some dots. So SAT is apparently an acronym that means something. We may figure it out. SAT versus the Queens of Hearts. Machine of Grecos. This is the new Mog, who's probably not inspired at all by Calbretto from Battle Chasers. You can see my signature is actually like starting to come together, starting to get closer to where it's at now. There's Kat, who was definitely based on Amanda Peet. These are the ancient ones. This is the very first, I think, one of the very first drawings of Secret Agent Tim, 1997, Tim the Secret Agent. So I hadn't even come up with the hook yet. And this was the bad guy. I later did a comic, I'll show you. I've got it in the vault called Detox. Detox was a sequel to Secret Agent Tim. And this guy comes back. This is 1997, so these hamburger feet, I was 11 years old. So leave me alone. Here we go, 98. This is the cast. You can see how Digimon I was. And so I had to step back. And this is when I probably started to see Joe Mad, because that looks a bit like that. And he's got a whole bunch of elbows just to make that work. I always loved that about this one. And that's Tim 2400, so it's like future Tim. I think Secret Agent Tim already took place in the future, but I was like, no, this is further out. I think I'd probably seen, I don't know if the date is there, but Age of Apocalypse with the big Joe Mad foil cover. That one's hot. I always thought Joe was drawing, Joe, like I know him. I always thought Joe Mad was drawing the inside of that, because I always loved that stuff with Bishop, the bald head and the hood. That art is sweet. Anyway, this is probably the first, or this one. You could see how much I'm like wearing down with that eraser. And these just had straight up tacks in them. I had them up in my closet. This is like Zordon. Cat. Nothing gross about having this like enormously thick monkey tail that's covered in fur coming right out of your butt. That's hot. Yeah, some murder. We're getting into it now. Detox. What'd I tell you? So I had seen Starship Troopers and it changed my life. And then all the Scream movies, or at least the first one, I don't know what the years were, but basically kind of became enthralled with drawing deaths. So again, it's so cosmically wonderful that I wound up doing what I've done. Yeah. Starship Troopers. Anyway, in this book, there are essentially these guys who dress, it's like an army, it's a group, I think it's called Detox. And they're basically like decked out exactly like the Starship Troopers, but they fight all this crazy stuff. Yeah, just an excuse to do that. Oh, this one's based on me. It's Jamie, based on Ben Bishop from Detox, 1999. I used to give this freaking binder, here we go. I used to give this binder to girls so that I could impress them. I'd be like, look at everything I've done. And there's drawings in there like that. And all these drawings of other girls. Oh, geez. That's straight from Starship Troopers, not even from Detox. It's based on Ashley Willis, who my friend Dave, she's my girlfriend, and he stole her from me. Son of a bitch. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out the best way for this tail to come out of her butthole, and that's the most I got. She can coil it around her leg. Oh my god. some big monster. Starting to get into backgrounds here, folks. New Detox characters. This is an alien race that I made up that I do think is pretty cool. That I might bring back. I think they were called Zootex, so don't take that. Yes, Zootex. In fact, they are. I haven't looked through this thing in a million years. They have brownish green stripes, green skin, dark green spots, 4 antennas behind the head, ripples in long neck, and chin horns. That was really the defining feature. These were mostly inspired by Piccolo from Dragon Ball. I don't know what limiting factor was, but I think it was a whole nother book after Detox. And here we've got the classics, like Smallville, of course. Ash from Evil Dead, that's pretty dope. Drawn in, I think, 2000. Again, my friend Mike Capps coloring those in with the colored pencil. It's a decent Superman. It's probably better than I've drawn him in a while anyway. I love those big feet. Link, that ain't bad. And these are some redesigned X-Men from medieval times. Pretty cool. Morph is just part of a tree. I love this one. This is like, wow, Spider-Man. Iceman and Beast. Iceman. Ooh, this is my magic words. Do any of you send in envelopes to Magic? Or I mean to Wizard Magazine? I miss Wizard Magazine. Last Ronin would be all over Wizard Magazine if it was still a thing. Right? Got Milk. That was a big thing then. That's a pretty good Daredevil. I was playing with like this thick outer line. I think I saw, I might be wrong, but Adam Hughes doing that. This big, big, thick line, and then the thin ones inside. I still mess with that. This is not a bad Spider-Man either, but I was over-rendering stuff. I didn't need to. That's fine. Just figuring it out. All this is good for that. It's not good drawing. Spidey. It's a great pose if you want to hide everything. Similarly. Some Batman fam. I did like this free fall from Gen 13. There are certain like panels from certain books that will stay with me forever, and Gen 13 had a lot of those. There's this other book called DV8, I think, that, man, that is like the top reference book for me from like ages 11 until this, pretty much. I gotta find that comic. Newfound Glory. This is a copy of the piece because I actually crowd surfed at Warped Tour up to the fucking stage, threw the drawing on stage, and in my memory they were like, oh, I picked it up, but it probably didn't happen. Probably just got fucking stomped on and spit on, and that's fine. And then the next year their tour was all comic book, stylized. My buddy Dave was like, they stole that from you. And I was like, you stole Ashley from me, you son of a bitch. Daredevil, over-rendered, but figuring it out. It's probably just, zoning out, which is good as a kid. Spidey, 2002. Wonder Woman. I'm still not good at a lot of these characters. Superman is actually like surprisingly tough. It's one thing to do a character in your way with like a mask or the Ninja Turtles, who you can kind of interpret as your own thing, and then that's celebrated. But with someone like Superman, there's like this fine line between like putting too much of yourself into it, I think, unless you like really have this like breakout Paul Pope style that people are going to come to for that, or like Frank Quietly. But even still, like Superman is Superman, and when you're just drawing a guy's face, when there's nothing to hide behind, it's tough to do it right, especially with a character like Superman, because there's a lot of baggage there about like, getting it right and everything he means to so many people. I'll crack it one day, when and if I ever have to. Anyway, Zik, one of my all-time favorite original characters, he's definitely going to be coming up somewhere. You can see kind of the Ninja Turtle inspiration in his shape of his face right here. I love Zik. The full title also is very inspired by Turtles, and not even like necessarily knowingly at the time, but thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, the full title is cosmic alien Zik the Destroyer. So I would call it like Kaz-Tid or something like that. But definitely love me some Zik. All right, I don't know what this section is. Others. All right, we're into the miscellaneous now. And we've got a bit left, but there's some good stuff back here. So don't go anywhere. And then if I had like an ad, I could put something here. I do have a website where you can buy all my books. You can actually buy a lot of original art from Last Ronin and Last Ronin Lost Years, and all the NECA toy packaging art is up there. And if you think the price is too high, that's okay. But guess what? You can make an offer. And when you make an offer, you might just hit me at the right time. In addition to that, you can sign up for my club. And that's a monthly club where you get quarterly boxes, but you also get 15 to 20% off everything in the store at bishart.net any day of the week. Cool. Not a bad ad, right? Just made that up. Here we go. Others. So these are more like fine art, I'm assuming. Yes, yes. Very much in my feelings. That's a nice tree. Should be drawing other stuff. Oh, there's some boobies. I'm being hard on myself, but I am very fond of a lot of this, and a lot of this exploration and figuring stuff out and just having fun. The Math Avenger. I hate math. This guy holds a special place for me too. Bishart, Bish as in bishop and art as in art, actually came from my buddy Will. In high school, I think it was freshman year. It says 01, so yeah. I rolled into Mr. Croto's class one morning and Will was like, check this out. And he pulls over to the compact, clicks on the space bar or whatever he did to turn it on, and we waited a long time for it to get online, and he showed me he had actually made me a website just out of nowhere. Freshman year of high school, he coined the term Bishart. He created it, and I'm not gonna give him anything except credit right now. So bishart.net was born. It's always been .net. I think that's all he could get at the time. Someone else has got the .com, and that's fine. But yeah, this was the character he used on the website, and there was a color version. I must have done it somehow on I think it was digitally colored, I think. And then if I remember, the back was like black, and it had like this grid pattern, and it said Bishart, the art of Ben Bishop. It was so freaking cool. So I've been Bishart ever since. And that's the guy. Definitely, kind of influenced and inspired by the art from the Gorillas. I think that's Jamie Howlett, but I might be wrong. Some zombies. These are cool. Nightlife. I also used to break dance. I don't know if you knew that about me, but we had these dances at our school called Nightlife, and I got to make the posters. And I was pretty much the best breakdancer around. I wore those big UFO pants. I even had the scratch and sniff ones that smelled like peppermint. It was insane. Me and my buddy Mike. So that was the first dance, Nightlife, at high school. And then we did Nightlife 2. And then after Nightlife 2, we did Nightlife Live, baby, where there were bands. Yep. And I think that's NL. So cool. It was fun. This lighting is turning on me. There's Zik. Oh. There he is again, yelling at a cat. I don't know what it is with him and like cute animals. I think I thought it was funny. I think it was kind of like an Alf thing. Like he's living in our neighborhood and maybe like sitcom family. All right, we'll pull this one out because this definitely illustrates what I was trying to say about probably needing to take a step back from watching anime and kind of soaking in that style. Of course, Akira is like a whole different style. I never let that go. But I stopped watching like Digimon and Pokemon and all that stuff. This is the first time I got a fountain pen, I think, whatever, with the metal nib. And the last time I ever got one. It was terrible. I couldn't figure it out. Dragons. Some more Digimon. It's Jay. Jay's actually my middle name. Battle Chasers. Some snowboarder guy. I went snowboarding once, fell off the chairlift and broke my arm. So I never did that again. Can't risk the moneymaker. Plus it hurt. Anyway, I never went snowboarding again, and I don't really need to. This looks straight out of like Ex Machina. Some statues. Some explosions. Some heartbreak. Some more Zik. And he's singing Pina Colada. This was my 8th grade graduation. I did the cover for it. It's a Battle of the Bands, another event from my school. I think I spilled water on this and then just rolled with it. It's cool. Looks like these were maybe my roughs for the final. So that might have been the first time I started actually using a light box. Or not the first time, because my dad actually built me a light box when I was in high school. It had the animation disc on it and everything. It was like this big wooden thing with gold fittings and handles, and super cool. I still have it today. But you can see the tape on here, even my fingerprints in there. So I was definitely using the light box for my final. It's pretty cool. Piecing stuff together. That was 2000. So I would have been like early freshman year. Centaur. This guy got hurt. This guy looks like he's in 2 different bands. Sports. I don't know why I would draw that. Zik broke. Another tree. Another chick. My email in high school was chickmagnet@hotmail.com. So, yeah. More Zik. Playing with some watercolor here. Doing the negative areas around the plant. Probably an assignment. I made up this style. I don't know if anyone's gonna like it. This was kind of like a homies thing before homies existed. I lived in Manchester, New Hampshire. General Street. This is a nice little mark under the eye. Oh, I didn't even notice this guy. Yikes. Who did this? More trees. And then, I guess just some figure studies, probably from my head. This is a song. Anybody know how to play this? These pages have not been opened in probably since 2004, so however many years that is. Well, that's everything, folks. At least everything from 1997 to 2004, ages 11 to 18, 7 years. So pretty wild stuff. Wild and interesting to look back and see how much better you've gotten, but at the same time, all the same little things that you tend to do. I remember when I cracked how to draw noses, or at least how I draw noses. It was this one picture of Tom Cruise from, he's got a wonderful nose, but it was from Mission Impossible, might have been the worst one, Mission Impossible 3. He had that long hair, but there was this shot of his nose where I just like finally figured it out. Anyway, that was a good time. For now, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Yeah, that was a good time, so let me know what some of your favorite pieces were, and if there's anything you'd like to know more about. And yeah, thanks for watching.